see no new faces, so just the young ones in front of me right now. So what we did last year was pretty popular, so we went ahead and brought it back this year. And that was a lighting of candles. There's a lot of light that we send out during the season for different types of, yeah, we'll do that right after that. There's a lot of light that we send out during the season for different religions, different beliefs, different all kinds of organizations out there. And one of the ones that we have is, of course, our 7 principles. We aren't worshiping these. We are going to go ahead and send these 7 principles out into the world just so that we can be reminded during this season that can be difficult of what our 7 principles are. So Belle's going to come up and actually read them, and I'm going to light the chalice and the candles.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
The first, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The second, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Acceptance.
Comes from the chalice, sorry. I didn't say that.
Okay. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The right of conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregation and in our society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And the 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part of.
Now we've got a new member. He actually did sign the book before the vote, so his vote was counted as well. But we're going to go ahead and do the new member ceremony, and Ann has put that together.
Jeff Jones has been here for a while already, and we still feel very much like he's a part of us. He has been a UU since 2014. I get the wrong era here. 2014, he became a Unitarian. He comes from a pagan and a Christian background. He is a member of the UU Musicians Network, something I did not even know existed, but that's wonderful. And I can see why he wants to be part of this fellowship because of his membership in that. To welcome him, Karen and I are going to lead you in reading 442. And rather than have it responsive from the leaders to the congregation, we're going to divide the congregation on this side. Including these two. Karen, over here, and this side, me and Karen's going to begin. What about us? You're beginning. I'm beginning. Yes. 442.
Why don't you all do this side?
No, wait a minute. You've got the back people. We'll take them.
Okay.
You're with me, okay?
Jeff, we bid you welcome, everybody on this side. We bid you welcome who come with weary spirit seeking rest.
Who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid.
We bid you welcome who come with hope in your heart.
We come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous.
We bid you welcome who are seekers of a new faith.
We come to probe and explore, who come to learn.
We bid you welcome who enter this hall as a homecoming.
Who have found here room for your spirit, who find in this people a family.
Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey,
We bid you welcome. And then, as a final thing for today, page 360, a hymnal. And Ito, were you told we might pay 360?
And, this would probably be a great time to, praise Kenta. I actually left him out on Friday, which was bad. Horrible. And I'm sure he put a pin in my voodoo doll for that. But the music, we've learned different things and did different things as soloists and things like that. But he's played for almost every single one of those songs. And there's a lot of songs today. All right, now what we're going to do is we've got some special music from Kenta, and we're actually going to go ahead and pass the plate because as we were reminded by our wonderful treasurer, this is the time for us to close up a lot of our dues and stuff and start a new year next year. So we'll go ahead and start. And I kind of threw that at them today, too. I said, we kind of needed some music then, too. Yes. So we're going to go ahead and go into a story. The story is, of course, not to offend anybody. This is not to bring fun and games to any religion. This is just a story for us to really enjoy. This is a joyous time, so take it lightly. The biggest thing is we're going to be singing throughout the story. We have the hymns up there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Of course, you don't have the words for Here Comes Santa Claus up on the housetop. If you remember it, you won't need it. But if not, just sit and listen. And we will, I will direct you, and the choir will direct you, and all that beautiful stuff. All right, so I need my Grinch to stand up, please. All right. So this is how the Grinch stole UU Christmas. Every UU down in UUville liked the holidays a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of UUville, did not. The Grinch hated the season, the UU holiday season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were just too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Whatever the reason, his heart and his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the UUs, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below their town. For he knew every UU down in UUville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath.
And they're hanging their stockings, spinning dreidels, and looking to the moon.
He snarled with a sneer.
Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here.
Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming.
I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow he knew all the UU girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, noise, noise. That's one thing he hated.
The noise, 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 noise.
2:35. The UUs, young and old, would sit down to a feast, of course. And they'd feast and they'd feast and they'd...
Feast, 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 feast.
They would feast on UU pudding and rare veggie UU roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand at the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all, Every UU down in UUville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the UUs would start dancing and singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd
Sing, 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 sing.
231. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why these songs of happy cheer? What great brightness did you see? What glad tidings did you hear? Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. See him in a manger laid, who the angels praise above. Mary, Joseph, and parade, while we raise our hearts in love. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. And the more the Grinch thought of this UU Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this UU thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how?
then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do.
The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he crackled and he clutched. Oh, hold on. Oh.
What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer.
The Grinch looked around and around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said,
If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead.
So he called his friend Freedom, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn to the top of her head. Then he loaded some bags on an old empty sack, most likely a Prius. Then the Grinch said,
Giddy up.
and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the UUs lay a snooze in their town. This is Here Comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. His servants and all his reindeer rolling on the rain. Bells are ringing, children singing, all is merry and bright. Hang up stockings and say your prayers, 'cause Santa Claus comes tonight. Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. He's got a bag that's filled All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the UUs were dreaming sweet dreams without care. Hymn 252. We'll just sing the first verse. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round young virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in When he came to the first little house on the square,
This is stop number 1.
the old Grinch Claus hissed. And he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, so could this Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out the fireplace flue. On the housetop where the little UU stockings all hung in a row.
These stockings
Huge
are
grin.
the
by the
first
way.
thing to go.
Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the UU room, and he took every present. Books and bicycles, dance shoes, drums, checkerboards and tricycles, popcorn and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. The Grinch, very numbly, stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the UU potluck feast. He took the UU pudding and even the roastless beast. He cleaned out the ice box and quick as a flash, why that Grinch even took their last can of UU hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now I will stuff up the mitten tree.
And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw darling UU. 2:21. Light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pagans when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. But light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger won't tear us apart. And light one candle to bring us together when peace starts a song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is a memory that's valued so highly? We keep it alive in that flame. What's a commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? Having come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, and it's shining through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Little Joanne Lou UU, and UU that was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny UU daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said,
Sandy Claus, why are you taking the 50 tree? Why?
But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought up it quick.
Why my sweet little tot.
The fake Santa Claus lied.
There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here.
And his fid fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Joanne Lu Yu went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the chalice for their fire. Then he went up the chimney, himself the old fat liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and then one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other UU houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other UU mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, and all the UUs still in bed, all the UUs still a snooze when he packed up his sled. 244. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons and the wrappings, the tags and the tinsels, the trimmings and the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. 239.
Shepherds kept their watch
Grinchingly humming.
They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then the UUs down in UUville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise
Grin the Grinch.
that I simply must hear.
So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound was a bunch of merries. It couldn't be so, but it was very merry. He stared down at UUville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every UU down in UUville, the tall and the small, was singing and dancing without any presents at all. Feliz Navidad. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. And that Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice-cold snow, stood puzzling and puzzling.
How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
And he puzzled 3 hours, probably during service, till the puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
And what happened then? Well, the UUvillians, they say, that the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. 2:45. Joy to the world, the word is come. Let earth rejoice and sing. Let every heart prepare a room. And nature sing, and nature sing, and nature sing, and nature sing. Joy to the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. He brought back the books and the food for the potluck feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roastless soy beast. And all the UUs, both tall and small, joined the Grinch in Fellowship Hall.